This week has simultaneously been one of the best and one of the worst weeks of my life. And I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about it. So, as most of you hopefully know, I am publishing a book called Be a Citrix Hero. And that is actually formatted and being sent off for Kindle now. It's being checked over. I was up till 2-ish in the morning last night getting that all done and off to Amazon for review. And my launch team has been incredibly supportive and helped me point out a lot of things that I need to correct about the text and everything like that. They've been enormously helpful, and honestly, I can't imagine doing this without them. And so I will be thanking them by name in another video soon. I want to get their permission, obviously, before I go and do that. But for those of you that are on my launch team that I've been contributing edits and that sort of thing, I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, this has been a hard week for a lot of people. And I think a big part of what's been hard about this for me is how much of this that is hard is not really about me at all necessarily, but as I'll kind of unfold here for you, there's some things that actually do have to do with me. So first off, let's talk about the whole coronavirus thing. People are freaking out. It's been announced a lot of things this week about the cancellations of a lot of events and things like that, and people are afraid. And you know what's upsetting to me about this is not what's going on as far as the physical realities of this. What's upsetting to me is how people are being. And inevitably, anytime you have something like this, I start to see people being really not great to each other. I think it was just really, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into this. I don't want to get too much into this. It's not why I'm doing this video. Just needless to say that it's been discouraging to watch people disrupt their lives over something that's not as much a risk to them, and try and certain things, yes, be precautious, wash your hands, yeah, do that. But honestly, the amount of living in fear that's going on and the effects that's having on the way people are interacting with each other is just despicable. But yeah, so I wash my hands of that weirdness. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't sleep much Monday night. That wasn't anything to do with the fears and whatnot. It's more so because I had come off of 3 straight days of editing this book, and it wasn't a stressful time necessarily of doing the editing process. Actually, it was a lot of fun. I was actually just sitting on my recliner the whole entire weekend with movies on in the background while I approved and made changes and all that kind of stuff. And so this weekend was actually enjoyable as far as that process goes. And so it was good. But, about 1 in the morning or something like that, there was just a bunch of, well, first of all, my wife came in and said there had been a tornado that touched down somewhere outside of Nashville. And that is not incredibly unusual, but I'll get to that in a minute. What was unusual was some of the weather around us. We're about 15 miles south of the Nashville area, roughly. And the lightning and thunder was just in such a way. But honestly, it wasn't just that I couldn't sleep. I just knew something was wrong, And like I said, tornadoes at this time of year, it's not uncommon. And there's some outskirts, just especially out east of the Nashville area. It's not uncommon for tornadoes to touch down, but typically here in the Nashville Valley area, we don't really get those coming right into the town sort of area. So it was a little unusual, but I just felt something was wrong. Something was just off, and I knew it. And woke up in the morning and got the news that this tornado had in fact uh, tore through a lot of the Nashville regional area. It wasn't just the one touchdown that I had heard about far east. It had actually done significant impact. There's a lot of people that are really hurting right now, for real. Not maybe afraid of catching something. There's people that are without a home. There's people that are that had lost children. It's a lot to process, and any of you who have lived through something like this, where you just feel utterly and completely helpless to do anything about it, you can't bring things back. You can help repair, but you can't bring back life that's been lost. It's hard to process that. Later that day, my sister sent me a picture of my nephew in a hospital bed, bloody and concussed, and he can't remember what's going on. Every 30 seconds he loses memory, that sort of thing. And it's he was in a bike accident kind of a thing, and I mean he's okay, but he had to spend the night in the hospital, and it was so that was a night of just, well, what is going on? And I'm trying to launch this book and be positive and all this kind of stuff, but this is the one that's going to be really hard to talk about, unfortunately, as I haven't shared anything about this, and this will be the first time I'm really talking about it. Out the next morning, Wednesday morning, I slept in a bit. I just needed some extra time, but I woke up and there was text messages from a good friend of mine and a neighbor that was wondering if I knew anything about the drama that was going on in the neighborhood. When you hear something like that, you're like, okay, somebody from the HOA or something like that, right? No, I opened the window and there were 15 police cars and a SWAT team with rifles and the full gear, riot gear, that sort of thing, all outside my window. Well, not my window, literally, like in the street. I could see them, in other words. And the situation, we later learned more and more about it, and we still don't know everything about it, honestly. I just have little bits of information. There's obviously no media coverage for this, which is odd, because this was, you gotta understand, I live in a very, very quiet neighborhood on a cul-de-sac. All this happened at the very end of the cul-de-sac kind of thing. It's like where you'd never expect anything ever to happen badly at all. But they were concerned about a gentleman inside that I've not confirmed this yet, but that from what I'm hearing is a veteran of the military and was suicidal and wanted to take his own life. But I've talked to and known and been friends with, or even family with, enough police officers to recognize when a situation is that they want the police officers to shoot them, and so they're trying to provoke that to happen. So I'm not saying that's for sure what this situation was, but that is exactly how something like this tends to play out. So that was difficult, to be helpless to that situation. What was really rattling about this, however, was that the guy's name apparently was DJ, and we're being told to stay in our house and everything like that. But about midway through this process, about 3 hours in, they started talking to him over a loudspeaker. So every minute or so, you're hearing, DJ, please pick up the phone and talk to us. DJ, please give us a text. Let us know you're okay. Over and over and over again. And at first, I didn't think it was going to affect me. But seeing these police officers put their lives on the line, lives on the line, was enormous. They kept saying, um, I'm not going to get through this, but they kept saying, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right here. If we have to be here all day or all night, we're going to be right here. It's a big deal. From everything I've gathered, this gentleman has a wife. They have a child that was in school at the time. And fortunately, the situation ended. I mean, nothing about this is ideal, but they got him out safe. And that's really great. And I was just broken after that. In the midst of all the things I'm going through, all the self-doubt, not many people I know in the tech space, especially. Can I talk? Especially? Not many of us have published a book before. To those that haven't, it sucks. Self-publishing, which is what I'm doing, sucks even more. There's something about putting yourself out there that just really is really troublesome to begin with. But putting yourself out there in such a very intense way, and the permanency of it, fortunately with the way I'm doing it, there's a lot of buffers to that. There's a lot of things we can change in the process, and it's not like we can't just put out a new edition of it or push a new version of Kindle. So that's fortunate, really fortunate, because there's already mistakes. So it's rough to go through that emotionally. It is a mindset kind of a thing of saying, you know what, I'm doing this for a bigger purpose, and I need to keep that in mind, that it's not about me. Really important. At the same time, there's a lot about the imposter syndrome and things like that. I was like, who am I to be doing this? This is a question I've been asking myself for a long time now. You look at, it's like, I don't have a lot of followers or anything like that. I don't have the usual formula. What makes me think that I'm worthy of this or should be doing this? Shouldn't somebody else be doing this? And then that's what I realized, is that, gosh, nobody else is doing this. This is why I need to do this. I need to get out there with these messages and give people the tools they need to be successful in their life and their career. That there's just a lot to that, of saying there's just having something, whether it's to hold it in your hand, something that just makes things a little easier, and just say, okay, there's a lot of noise out there. What do I need to focus on? Which is totally why I did this book. I was like, okay, here's 7 key things. Boom, just do these. You're good, or at least better. You're never going to be just 7 things, but these are the big ones. So if you can hit these, you're going to be way better off. It's the reason to publish this book. So that's a good reason, right? That's going to make some impacts on people's careers. And I know this. I know this because I've been watching it happen. And so, there's that. The reason I'm actually recording this video is not to talk about that. The reason I'm recording this video is to explain why I'm doing something that is risky, it's a little dangerous, and it affects me pretty deeply, but it's something that I'm not going to be able to get around at this point. I know this is the right thing. And so for the next few months, 30% of the proceeds from this book, proceeds meaning, outside of whatever Amazon takes. And so during this initial part of the launch, it's their formulas are weird. I won't go into this too much, but basically the royalties that are paid out if you're in like a 99-cent price point is about 35%. So it's not great. It's not a lot of money. That is not the price point that's going to stay for this book. It'll be only that for a very, very short time for a promotional kind of a thing. And Only those in the know will really know, I guess. But the next phases of this, the price will be steadily increasing until we figure out, exactly what is the appropriate target area. But honestly, I think what I'd like to see is this book somewhere around $9.99, kind of a price point. So we'll see how that goes. Fortunately, with that, there's a little bit more that Amazon gives out for royalties, and so whatever comes out of that, 30% of that is going to go into a fund that I'm going to be figuring out how to manage. There's three things that this fund is going to be going towards. One is something we've been talking about for a couple of months, a few of us, and that is that some people just can't get out to tech conferences, but there's a lot of value in tech conferences. And so I wanted to provide a way to do that. So a big piece of the part of the, or big part of the piece of the part, whatever. I'm frazzled, can't you tell? A big passion of mine is making sure that people have the ability to do that. And so we're going to start more or less a scholarship fund for people to be able to get basically like a scholarship to go to a conference, whether it's paying for their travel, paying for the conference itself, whatever. If they're having trouble with that, but they know that going to a conference, sort of like the EUC Masters Retreat, for example, getting to that, it may be something like the one we're doing in Phoenix in a mere matter of weeks. Obviously, there's expenses to that, and it's a big deal for some to make that because their boss isn't going to pay for it, So, but it's good for their career. We know this. Dane is putting together a smaller one that is right before Synergy. So a lot of bosses won't approve of, the extra time to be there, being there ahead of an event for something else. But the career development you get out of this is huge. And so I want to start being able to help that. And so this will work out funny kind of ways, but basically in a nutshell, about 10% of the proceeds will be going towards that. And we'll adjust that as we go. The other bucket, I guess, for this, and this will be probably the biggest bucket for at least a few months, is the Nashville tornado didn't hit the wealthy areas. It hit a lot of the lower income areas where people are already stressed and hurting in a way. And so this added to that. And it's going to take some help. It's not going to be like insurance is going to cover this. It's not something where we can just rely on the government for this. It's not going to work. We need to band together. And so that is why, out of this passion that I have, out of this, need to help, I want to give you the opportunity to come alongside me. And so we're saying that, at least initially, it'll probably be closer to 15 to 20% of the 30 overall will be, or yeah, you know what I'm trying to say here. Hopefully, that bigger portion of that will be going towards that relief. And then you have the third, which I haven't found the right charitable organization for this. If somebody has a idea of some I can look at, please do let me know. But I want to be able to help more with those that are, coming back from serving, that have this stress, and they think that ending their life is the way to end it, and that's the right way to do it, rather than, I don't know what the solution is. I know the theory. I have a degree in psychology. I know up here. I want to find an organization to work with that is helping. And I have a few in mind, but I want to vet this out a little bit. But that is the other area where a good portion of what the sales from this book are going to help go towards. So that's what I wanted to let you know, is that ultimately this whole thing, it's never really been about me. I never really wanted it to be. Honestly, it's something where I love the alignment here. We're talking about a book called "Be a Citrix Hero," and I've got an opportunity here to allow others to be a hero in yet another way, just a small way, but who knows? Who know? I don't know what this is going to be like. I have no idea. This could be that, a few hundred people buy this. It could be a couple thousand. I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. But I hope for those that do, that they can feel a little bit of that goodness of knowing that you're part of something, and that your little contribution is multiplied. It's a wonderful thing about the way these kind of things work. And so, like I said, it's a lot of risk and overhead for me, and obviously, well, let's say what it is. I'm giving what I could just be taking. I could just be using that to support my family, but I will find other ways. That's okay. Don't worry about that. But I'm really encouraged that so many of you have been so supportive. And even though I had a little bit of a freak out earlier this week, that a lot of you were reached out to me and were very supportive, and I really appreciate that. So anyway, I wanted to let you know why and what I'm doing, and I'm really looking forward to next week when we launch this book for everybody. And yeah, I'm encouraging you to think about being a part of this. And if there's anything else you want to do to contribute to the things I'm talking about, let me know privately, and we'll see what we can figure out. I think there's some additional things that I'm thinking about putting together. It's kind of very, very, what's it called? Beta. It's not even beta. It's alpha kind of phase as far as this goes, of looking at building out some more involved courses with all this that people can buy, and having proceeds from that be part of this, having other people contribute course material for this, for example. And so it's more of a group effort, not just me. These are things that I'm thinking a lot about and really hope that we can put out there. So be safe, be the hero. Love you guys.